Ruma,
you must go.
shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya, you must go.
shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
On the last day when number go come, whether you be phobia.
You must go.
On the last day when number go come, whether you be churuma.
You must go.
Shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya, you must go.
shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body.
ayaya.
80 of the day on training.
On
They
the
don't finish
last
train.
day when number
Now they
go
relax
come,
themselves.
whether
Me
you
muscle cram no hold them.
You must
So
go.
all their training don't be end. They're gonna 1 hour 20-minute training today.
You
Because
must go.
Ayaya, shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya, you must go.
shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
on the last day when Ambago come, oh, well you be pobia.
You must go.
On the last day when Ambaboy go come, oh, well you be churima.
You must go.
Shake your body, shake your body, shake your body.
Ayaya, you must go.
Shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
On the last day when number go come, whether you be churuma.
You must go.
On the last day when number go come, whether you be army man.
You must go. Ayaya, 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 you must go. Ayaya, ayaya,
Whether you be churuma.
you must go.
Shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya, you must go.
shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
On the last day when number go come, whether you be phobia.
You must go.
On the last day when number go come, whether you be churuma.
You must go.
Shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya, you must go.
shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body.
ayaya.
80 of the day on training.
On
They
the
don't finish
last
train.
day when number
Now they
go
relax
come,
themselves. Me muscle cram no hold them.
You must
So
go.
all their training don't be end. They're gonna 1 hour 20-minute training today.
You
Because
must go.
Ayaya, shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya, you must go.
shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
on the last day when Ambago come, oh, well you be pobia.
You must go.
On the last day when Ambaboy go come, oh, well you be churima.
You must go.
Shake your body, shake your body, shake your body.
Ayaya, you must go.
Shake your body,
Ayaya,
shake your body,
ayaya,
shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
On the last day when number go come, whether you be churuma.
You must go.
On the last day when number go come, whether you be army man.
You must go. Ayaya, 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 you must go. Ayaya, 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 you must go.
My fellow Ambazonians, una good day for all una, for all our papa them and our mommy them, for all our brothers and our sisters, for all big papa them and big mommy them, for all our Ambazonian picking them. Una good day for all una. For all our people them where they be, where they across the world, for all over the world. Una good day. A special salute. I want to give special salute for all our refugees them, especially the one them from Nigeria. I want to salute our prisoners of war, where they did for the various concentration camps, for the various Cameroun concentration camps, whether not the concentration camps them, where they did within Ambazonia, or the one for inside La Republic. We tray una salute. For our people for this side, for North America, una good morning for all una. I be una brother Asu, una the press secretary for the executive office for governing council of Ambazonia. Today, na a very good day. I don't come for can deliver for our people them, for explain them and educate our people and inform our people. Because during wartime, you must know the game of your enemy so that you know how to up your own strategies. War na a game. Politics na a game. Either you win or they win you. So the game of war, the game of liberation, now for you for win your enemy. But for you for win, you must understand the strategies of your enemy. You must understand the strength of your enemy. You must understand the tactics of your enemy so that you feel reshape your own strategies, reshape your own tactics for make sure say you defeat your enemy. A war of liberation, a war between two sides. But they get multiple levels where they play this, where they fight the war. Today, I want to explain what Cameroon they try for do. And for all the people them, where they think say they say the Cameroon government, be ready for anything say dialogue and negotiation. When I listen today very carefully. Because a lot of people that live on certain illusions because they don't understand what the dictatorship mean. They don't understand what the occupation mean. They don't understand how dictators they function and how they work. A lot of people they get these weak minds. So because of the international system, because of America, France, the United Nations, things they will be different. I want to open our eye as a people. The conversation I want to get on today, that the conversation will take place inside Boya. The Cameroon Colonial Prime Minister, what they call it, say Joseph Dion Ngute. He go for Boya yesterday for continue the political games, for deceive the Ambazonian people them, for manipulate the people them, for maintain Cameroon's occupation of Ambazonia, and for the Ambazonian people them, for make sure so they don't ever get human rights, for make sure so they are picking they not ever get better schools, for make sure so the people they never ever get better roads, they not get better hospitals, they not get better water them for drinking. The people they know will ever prosper. So he be there for Boya yesterday, for continue with the games with the colonial elites, where they put them for strategic places, for use them against the Ambazonian people. And so as the chief colonial elite, as the chief colonial slave, yesterday, it be go for Boya. We go to bring una also news of what did happen for inside the Ambazonian capital, the Ambazonia resistance capital for Bamenda. We'll tell una what did go on. And then at the end, we'll give una our conclusion. And then we'll go deliver some warning. Also, for the Ambazonian people them, for the danger with the day ahead. But most importantly, what our people they need for do, for make sure say they mitigate this danger them, and for make sure say, move our people them from the path of liberation to another destination. Make we start first with the visit of the Colonial Prime Minister. Yesterday, we began a Tuesday for September the 21st, 2021. The Colonial Prime Minister of Cameroon, Joseph Dion Ngute, he be take plenty army them, plenty be them, plenty Cameroon police and gendarme. They be carried for a helicopter They fly from Yaoundé and they bring it for Ambazonia capital. They bring it for Buea. Before Buea reach for Buea, he don't send letter for all the traditional chiefs for Fako and all the traditional chiefs for the southern zone. He sent message for all the top colonial administrative official for the southern zone. Make all them they converge for Buea. For Buea, Mr. Dion Gute, he tell the colonial elites, he said the Cameroon government, he don't do a lot for bring things to normalcy. When I hear fine. So the Cameroon government, it don't take a lot of steps. And the biggest step where the Cameroon government be taken, now which then they call and say, the major national dialogue will take place for 2019. According to the colonial prime minister, it talks say the Cameroon government policy. Now say there no go be any negotiation with what then they call and say secessionist and terrorist. For the meeting we get for Buea, he emphasized and he talked strongly. Say the Cameroon government, a position, it come from the major national dialogue. And for the major national dialogue, Mr. Dion Gute, he tell the colonial elites, say the Cameroon government, he offer special status for the Ambazonian people them, for give them more autonomy, for give them more self-governance, for give them more self-responsibility, so that now they will be in charge. Now the people them within the two regions, as in they call it Northwest and Southwest, for be in charge. And it talks which it come out of that national dialogue. Now the agreement or the granting of this special status. It talks this special status where they grant them for the people of Northwest and Southwest, where then they call and say Northwest and Southwest. It will give the people them back control of their lives. So the Cameroon government will get too much control through the process of decentralization. It talks say now the government a policy that for end the war, for bring things to normalcy. So the Cameroon government not be interested for anything else outside of Cameroon. The Cameroon government will not be interested for anything else. It not be interested for foreign intervention. It not be interested for foreign mediation. It not be interested for foreign negotiation. Which the Cameroon government be interested now for implement the full policies of their major national dialogue will it be contained for which they call and say special status. It talked through the special status. They don't create two regional assemblies for the Northwest and Southwest. Through the special status, they don't bring back the Colonial House of Chiefs. And through the special status, the two regional assemblies now they be in charge for the management of the two regions, according to Dion Gute. So the Cameroon government, a position, it be very firm. They not be interested for anything else. And so they aggressively try for implement what they already agree on for bring things to normalcy. Their goal now for make things come back to normal. Their goal now for say make peace come back. Their goal not be now for address which the people that they call and say the root causes of the conflict. Their goal not be now for listen to the aspirations, the wishes and the hopes of the people. Their goal not be now for care about the well-being of the people. Their goal not be now for talk for about anything we concern the rights or self-determination of the people. Their goal now for impose more colonial system on the people, and for force and for the people their neck until the people they accept them through their military occupation, for make sure say things they come back for normal, so that the exploitation of the territory it go continue for sustain the Cameroon state. Now Cameroon government it position this. And Diongute talk say, make the chiefs and all the colonial administrators, make them know say almost 50% of all the schools then, they don't reopen. It tell them say 50% of CDC, it don't come back, and CDC, it don't start again for export their produce them to the various international system. So they tell the people them say the Cameroon government a plan for bring things back to normalcy. It work, and the colonial elites, their goal now for make sure say they continue for promote the government policy. During this visit, journalists they be there, plenty journalists they be there. For this visit, Mr. Dion Gute, it threatened all the journalists who they be there for that meeting, and all the journalists within the northwest and southwest, all the journalists within the territory of Ambazonia. It threatened all them, and he warned all man. He said any journalist will continue for report the actions of the war, it go get serious problem. The only thing with the journalists they need for the reporter, now for the report only about the efforts where the government carry on for bring back things to normal. During that period, Dion Gute, he take envelope. All right? After I don't want these journalists them, they take envelope. And for inside every envelope, now 5 million CFA, it is inside. Inside every envelope, now 5 million CFA, it is inside. So after I don't want all these journalists and threaten them, make them not ever report. If soldier they kill some person, make them not ever report them. If Cameroon soldier they burn any house, make them not ever report them. If Cameroon soldier they rape any girl or woman, make them not ever report them. If Cameroon soldier they go for some place, they arrest people them, they take their money, take their properties, make them not ever report them. The only thing they feel report them, now the Cameroon government, its own effort, where they take them for bring things to normal. So if Cameroon government go for some place, it go paint the school, now that one the people they supposed to report them. If Cameroon government go for some place, it go build, it go dig well, for give the people the water, make another one, they go report them. So the envelope with Dion Gute give journalist, every journalist will be there, they give the journalist 5 million CFA for cover him up, make him not ever report the truth of Cameroon atrocities in Ambazonia, of the unwillingness of Cameroon government for treat the people with respect and dignity. Make them not ever report the human rights abuses. Make them not ever report the crimes where the Cameroon government commit. So now the game this. Now all journalists them, where they be there for that conference, where they be invite all them from northwest and southwest for camp for day, they don't buy all money conscience. They don't buy every single journalist who will be there with 5 million CFA. And as long as you take the money, you don't sign a social contract. That's what the game did. The game of bribery and corruption based on intimidation. Now a contract. So once a journalist take that envelope of 5 million, It don't sell a conscience and violate the terms of a profession. So now the game that will go on. So if Ambazonian forces, the key military, they take action against military, those actions they will be reported. Just like Okala Bilai, the colonial governor for the northern zone, he bring all the journalists and where they operate within Bamenda, and he do the same thing for them. It threatened them for take their license. It threatened them for jail, for put them for jail, and also give them bribe. Say make them not ever report the actions of ADF. Say if ADF carry out any action, make them not ever report them, because they no one make the name ADF. It begin to come off outside, because ADF, where they under the control of the governing council of Ambazonia, now the only movement, according to the Oxford report and according to the World Bank report, where it stands for total independence. Okala Bilai ban all journalists, make them not ever report the actions of ADF for Bamenda. Now, Joseph Diongute, he don't repeat the same thing for the southern zone. But this one, he not talks about make them not only report the action of a specific force or movement, but now make them not ever report the actions where they go promote Ambazonian resistance. So if Ghost Town be effective, they know report them. If soldier they carry actions, they know report them. If soldier they capture an occupational administrative building and take them over, they know a reporter. So we need to understand the game of the enemy. Sometimes the forces that they do so much work, but because of this corruption and this media suppression, sometimes we need to get those actions. And some of these doubts where Cameroon and their infiltrators and enablers, they don't create them for our head. Even when the soldiers they sacrifice their lives, so we now can't come off outside. We now go ask and say, what's these soldiers today? Whether they exist or they fight. Even when these soldiers they don't conquer territories and they hold on to the biggest liberated territories of Ambazonia, the Cameroon government will put doubt for your head. The infiltrators, they will put doubt for your head. So that make you doubt your own capabilities. Now, when you understand the game on a larger scale, when you understand the bigger game, make a show when some of the pictures where they come off for that Diongute trip. Since 1961, now colonial elites, they don't be the people the way they keep the Ambazonian people the money occupation. So now these same colonial elites, as it go, every colonial elite from every village, every town, they give them a big envelope. If they give a common journalist, man not talk say a common journalist because they are not common people. If they give a journalist 5 million for cover him up, how much you think say they go give the colonial elites where they come out your village? The colonial elites where they come out for your district. If they give a journalist 5 million for silly lips, how much you think say they don't give your colonial elites? Each of them. How much? So now the elites, they still be the people them where they give legitimacy to the Cameroon colonial system. Now then that, when they see them. Some of the pictures and that from Diongute trip. Some of the pictures and that. All right. Next. So special status. Now the final thing where Cameroon, it talks that the Ambazonian people, they must take them by force. All right. What they call and say special status. Now gone, where they put them for your back, for ask you, for accept, for be a Cameroonese, for accept, for live under Cameroon tyranny and impunity. There is none of the inside that thing where they call and say special status will mean anything for the Ambazonian people. Them. The budget where they tell and say regional assemblies. The budget for the whole regional assembly for the southern zone, now 2.7 billion CFA. 2.7 billion. Take and divide them for all the various, for the four, for the states then. So if you take them for the southern zone, more count the states. You get Fako, you get Coupe, you get Meme, you get Indian, you get Manu. I hope I not leave any other one out. And then you get Lebialem. Right? So Lebialem, Fako, Manu, Indian, Coupe, Meme. Right? Take those states then. And each of those states, they get subdivisions. Right? Go divide them. You will see say that money no go even fit for dig one small well for one district. Now the propaganda that and the manipulation that na emptiness. No not you know they na empty container. Na just a word. But there is no substance. They give them special status. But who you think say it be at the head of that regional assembly? The colonial governor. So you get a regional assembly, but the person with the guide that regional assembly, will even be more powerful than the president of that regional assembly. Now still the colonial governor will be appointed from Yaoundé. Then the person with the control that regional assembly, now a person with the still appointed from Yaoundé, where they call and say conciliator. Now it still be control the assembly. So why the assembly get the president of the assembly, of the regional assembly, it get the colonial governor of their head, and it get conciliator with the appointed from Yaoundé. So when I hear all these things, that just empty talk. What they call and say decentralization. Decentralization are empty talk. A whole regional parliament or assembly, as in they call them, it get only 2.7 billion CFA for their budget. Take and divide them for the whole state and all the subdivisions and the various districts. One village, you know, go fit get even one well. They not fit dig even one small well for some person in the backside. Not to talk of roads. Not to talk of forgive light. Not to talk of a build hospital. Not to talk of a build nursery schools. Not to talk of how they talk for the money for the various councils for maintain small things within their own council. Not to talk of those things. The money not even correct for even pay the staff them for the assembly. You not even correct for pay the salaries of all these assembly members and their staff. Now boom. No day. Muna not be carried away. That's why we take the time for provide this quality education for our people then. So that no person will be manipulated by the colonial elite. No person will be manipulated through this act of bribery and corruption for buy people their conscience and keep the rest of the population into slavery. There is only one option for the Ambazonia people them, and I will tell you that option. Now make we take una, we go for that side for the Ambazonian resistance capital for Bamenda. As will be the explainer for una yesterday. They call for a lockdown. The peaks, they call for a lockdown. Guess who they enforce the lockdown? The Cameroon military. Maryland cartel, they call for a lockdown. But because Maryland cartel did not get any forces for Bamenda, guess who did come for Bamenda for can enforce Maryland cartel their lockdown? We not see and we not say may we not talk say to make conspiracy theory because he hates some people them. Now in this. Now them that. Now the people that now they don't send them, they come for Bamenda for can enforce lockdown. Now the fresh Cameroon soldiers them that they send them from Yaoundé for camp for Bamenda for can enforce lockdown. When I start for check sense Ambazonians. Now them that. Now new, now other additional bees them that. Where they don't send them for Bamenda. Alright? Now bring una more photos. Those one they reached now yesterday. Now additional ammo caddies. Where they transport, where they bring them for Bamenda. They bring 3 more ammo cars for Bamenda yesterday. 3 more. With 7 buses of bees for kind of force lockdown. For intimidate the population. May they not come off outside for October 1. Now them this. Now then that, una fisiam, una sesef. 7 buses of bees, they enter Bamenda yesterday. For can enforce the lockdown way Sakoyi and Cristiano they call them. So now they run things. Now who they behind this lockdown they call them? Why be said in the call for lockdown? But now the colonial governor of the northern zone, he work out with army them. He tell taxi them say me they go back for house. He tell people them say me they go back for house. Lockdown day for city. And then now they don't send 7 buses. And those buses then are 70-seater buses. So multiply 7 by 7. 7 by 70, I mean. And you get 3 armor trucks. Where they don't send up for Bamenda. Ma ask you something. Joseph Diongute. Igoboya. Why the people they call for lockdown? They not call on their so-called forces where they get them. For disrupt Diongute emission to Ambazonia capital for Boya. For place where Sako come out. For place where Kwanga come out. Why the Cameroon government send bees 7 buses for Boya. They send them for Bamenda. And I know the reason. The resistance. La République don't take over Boya. Well, I'll play this video again. Now give me a moment. I'll play this video again. And then we'll continue the talk. I beg.
Whether you be churuma,
You must go.
shake your body,
Ayaya.
shake your body,
Ayaya.
shake your body,
Ayaya. You must go.
shake your body,
Ayaya.
shake your body,
Ayaya.
shake your body.
Ayaya. You must go.
On the last day when number go combo, whether you be phobia.
You must go.
On the last day when number go combo, whether you be churuma.
You must go.
Shake your body,
Ayaya,
Shake your body.
ayaya,
Shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
Shake your body.
Ayaya.
Shake your body.
Ayaya.
Shake your body.
Ayaya,
8 years they dey on training.
On
They
the
don't finish
last
train.
day, when I'm
Now they relax themselves. Me muscle cram no hold them.
you must
So
go.
all their training don't be end. They get a 1 hour 20-minute training today.
You
Because
must go.
Shake your body.
Ayaya,
Shake your body.
ayaya,
Shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
Shake your body.
Ayaya,
Shake your body.
ayaya,
Shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
on the last day when Ambago come, oh, well you be Pobia.
You must go.
On the last day when Ambaboy go come, oh, well you be Churima.
You must go.
Shake your body. Shake your body.
Ayaya,
Shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
Shake your body.
Ayaya,
Shake your body.
ayaya,
Shake your body.
ayaya, you must go.
On the last day when I'm go come, whether you be Churuma.
You must go.
On the last day when I'm go come, whether you be army man.
You must go.
Ayaya, 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 you must go. Ayaya, ayaya.
All right. Now welcome back for that small short break. We will be taken. Now make we bring the we'll finish this this segment for the conversation. While all these things that go on, while all this deception and manipulation of the ground they go on, the United Nations General Assembly, it be start yesterday. While they call for ground zero for lock themselves to house, the weather be very nice for New York. Sun come out for New York. Even for Toronto here, we be get 28 degrees of sunlight and good weather. Almost similar to the weather for New York. While they call for lockdown of ground zero, so that Cameroon will deploy additional forces for take over the city, intimidate the population, and take over the city. Once you move the population from the streets, the Cameroon military intelligence, they be now easy for them for identify locations of fighters. What fighters they fight na urban guerrilla warfare. Now the population be their own safety net. Now the population, they are mixed with the population, they keep them safe. You move the population from the streets, now every place where those soldiers they be now vulnerable to Cameroon intelligence military operatives. Camps they be vulnerable because you don't broke the link of intelligence, because then the population be the first level of intelligence to the forces and to their camps. The enemies within, they not be stupid. That's why during this time, when Ambazonia they beat Cameroon, when Ambazonia they bleed Cameroon, when Ambazonia they did teach Cameroon a lesson of their lifetime. Now during that time, they would do their things where they would slow down the momentum of the forces and then disrupt their plan, make the forces vulnerable, and then expose their hideouts. Last year, during this same time, when these same people they be called for an indefinite lockdown for Bamenda, they catch La République du Cameroun, he arrest, he be able for identify the place where forces they dey, and arrest 9, we lost 9 forces for Bamenda alone. 9! a top commander be picked up during that period. When I know what he mean, if we need to understand the dirty games of Sako and Chris Anu, would they deal with they don't sign Amopobia for end Ambazonian liberation and force the people them when they don't weaken them, then they will go into an endless negotiation where we will give Cameroon time for quell down the resistance and proclaim victory through special status. We now be very careful. We're there for a very delicate time. So why they call for lockdown for Ambazonia and La République military and their colonial authorities that they implement them for Bamenda, the place where Sako come out, the place where Akwanga come out, the colonial prime minister, he did there. He go for there. He go for there. They call for lockdown for Bamenda. But Boya be open. And the colonial prime minister go hold a meeting for sell the agenda of the occupier. And now for this Sako come out. Who is fooling who? And you know here no gunshot. But they say they get forces. And then they control Fako. And you know here no instructions. And you know here the lockdown of Fako. If the colonial prime minister they come for Fako, not been at the time that you supposed to call for a lockdown of Fako, for make the population not go welcome me. But why you not called for the lockdown of Fako as a special lockdown for Fako alone, for Boy alone, for disrupt enemy activities? It will make sense if they be called for a lockdown for Fako and then call their forces so they claim so they get them for enforce that lockdown for Fako. Una start for open una head them and begin to see the games who they play. They be a threat for una liberation. And if una not feel wise up and understand the games, then there is a price where the people they will pay. And when I see how the Cameroon government, it tell una openly what they go on. They tell una. And what be their intention. The Ngute don't talk. And I don't explain here for all una. The Ambazonian liberation is there for a very critical phase. It is there for a very critical phase. The phase of total victory of Ambazonia. But it also there for a very delicate phase. A critical and delicate phase. Would they very close for total victory against Cameroon military? Would be very close for total and complete victory. But will also be for a very delicate point. Cameroon, it put a lot of manipulative mechanisms on the ground. This victory will be very close if it be disrupted for advanced Cameroon agenda. They will use certain forces for change what did happen on the ground for advanced Cameroon agenda. They fit use certain Ambazonian forces where we know them. There is a reason. The reason why Cameroon, it don't come now for talk say, for put out a military communique from their Minister of Defense and start for talk say Ambazonian fighters, now terrorist groups. We don't know why. It be very dangerous because the only reason why Cameroon fit do am now because you get all these groups them on the ground without any direct political affiliation. We now listen very carefully. So Cameroon they play for these games them with Sarkozy and Chris Ano. They use forces for ground, and all these forces, these people, they never ever bring them under total command and control and through a structure where it get command and control where the wealthy see them. So you leave all these loose forces on the ground. Now the only reason that way Cameroon, if he talks say those people them, those fighters, those forces, now terrorist groups, because they don't get any direct political allegiance, they don't get any political oversight, they never be identified as say they under this movement, and that this movement it bear the responsibility of those forces. They never be identified. So that's why Cameroon they play on these loose forces them on the ground, where Sarkozy and Chris Ano they claim say they get them, and they use this generic name, say restoration forces. Restoration forces is not a force. You know if he talks, you get a force. That force not get a chain of command. Now individual forces with generals and commanders, through their sweat, their dedication, they rise up and mobilize their people for fight, for protect their communities, for fight, for protect their villages, their towns, and defend their people. So these infiltrators, they come in for claim all these forces, say these forces, they do under them, but there is no political allegiance, there is no direct political oversight, there is no structure, there is no control. Now these things then, now these games then, where these cartels for Maryland, they use these forces then for playing, and they leave this loophole where now Cameroon they tap into for use them for destroy Ambazonia from within. And they bring on all this information because the days ahead, they be very slippery. They go use some of these forces them against Ambazonia. They go use some of these loose forces against the liberation. The evidence that they become more and more and more clear. The obstacles ahead. They no go be na the Cameroon army, Cameroon B, Cameroon gendarmes, Cameroon police. The obstacle way they ahead of the Ambazonian people them. It go be na for these loose forces without a clear direction. Now the danger that way they ahead. Now the threat that way the Ambazonian people, and they bring all these things because one thing we define leadership, now the ability for anticipate. Anticipation, now the most useful skill. Anticipation, now the most important skill for any effective leader. You must be able to anticipate the future. Anticipate the opportunities of the future. Anticipate the threats of the future, and then you create strategies for exploit those opportunities and for minimize the threat. Anticipation is one of the most useful skills in terms of leadership psychology. So I did one make when I start for anticipate what will be the potential threats for the Ambazonian liberation for this critical phase, not being at Cameroon. The strategy way they lay them out on the ground. There is nothing Cameroon fit do am for reverse how far we don't come. But the potential day, with all the evidence and signs, say for this stage, where Cameroon, it don't accept international defeat, it don't accept defeat globally. For change things them on the ground, certain forces, they go be used. Certain Ambazonian forces, they go be used. And they bring this thing for una, and just for prepare una minds. Should in case it happen, be ready for it. Be ready for defend your independence. No matter who, no matter which group, no matter which force, it decide for after all these games that they don't play on the ground, after all this projection and popularity, no matter the group, no matter the general, no matter the commander, we stand for defend our independence and liberation, even from the forces within where they want to destroy them. Liberation is a game between the occupier and the oppressed people. A game. Play to win, not play for lose. Be prepared for any eventuality. And stand up and defend those forces where even the world in no place where they stand, and even Cameroon no place where they stand. The forces where they stand never be clear, and they give relevance and political legitimacy to people where the world don't tell una through the Oxford report. Say they don't go sign a deal with Cameroon for kill the resistance from within and push things them for a federated negotiation. And the recent World Bank report make una not ignore this intelligence from the international community. Make una not ignore these reports and warnings from reputable international institutions. Make una not ignore them. I know say because of tribalism, we not go ignore them. I know say because of religion, we not go ignore them. I know say because of your tribe and your dialect and your region or zone, we not go ignore them. If we not ignore them, it will be for our own peril. When ignore intelligence and evidence, you could destroy yourself. Even if today, substantial evidence it come out with facts where they feel verify them. Say any of we, whether not for the governing council of Ambazonia or not for Siseko Ayoktabe IG, if evidence and intelligence it be very clear, say any of we don't be corrupted and manipulated, we go vomit you out as forcefully and fiercely as we go against Nick Santos. Success in Congo, Nambere, Nsofoncha, Yannick Sikot. Any person, whether not a commander on the ground, it decide for being used by Cameroon military intelligence for destroy Ambazonia liberation for the point where people don't be free, the entire Ambazonian people them, they will do any means necessary for also take you down as they take Cameroon down. So all the generals on the ground, this one are for una. Not be like the generation this will play with them. You rise up for fight for our people then. You rise up for fight for your own life. If you leave them, you be manipulated by any, whether na Cameroon, whether na who, for 10 things them around against Ambazonia, you go become an enemy of the people of Ambazonia. No matter how popular or famous you be, an enemy is an enemy. A traitor is a traitor. The Ambazonian people, they go treat you as a traitor. There will be nobody who go stand between the Ambazonian people and their liberation. So make all man align himself. Align yourself with the aspiration of the people. You be a hero not person who stand up for the people. A hero not being a person where he leave them, they manipulate it, they prop it up, and then they use it for destroy own people. Then you will become a traitor. You go from being a hero to being a traitor, and you go hate your life. Then I guarantee you one thing. Any commander will leave them, Cameroon use you for destroy ground zero, for go against other forces on the ground, so that you weaken the resistance on the ground. When they finish, they go end up killing you. When they finish or use you for weakening the resistance on the armed resistance on the ground, when they finish, they must wipe you out. I guarantee you that one. You no go feel leave. Nambere, they go wipe you out. Success in Congo, they go wipe you out. When I pay attention, all those boys them for DDR, they are gone. When I remember what they do for the people them for UPC, for La République, the playbook day, they go take every single one of them out. For now, they go only use them because it be good for them for their PR campaign. But when they finish, they must clean all. So for the boys and for DDR, as una the year, I know say una the listen. Una the year, find your way, run. Find your way. Any means where you get them. Come up for that DDR. Run, cross, go Nigeria. Go anywhere else. Take flying boat. Go for Equatorial Guinea. But when I run, in a matter of time, they go kill every single one of now. So any general way there for ground, and you leave them, say Cameroon use you, at the end, they go finish you. They do am with Ayeke. They do am with Ayeke. They use Ayeke, manipulate Ayeke, make Ayeke go burn villages, destroy crops, and they take and put them for outside for Cameroon military intelligence. Get Ayeke for go kidnap picking them for school and ask make each family pay 2.5 million for their picking them. All those one be been intelligence where Cameroon did gear make Ayeke do all these things. Wait till happen with Ayeke at the end. When they finish or use it, they even give some extra beating, give extra guns, promote it. When they don't finish or use it, what happen with Ayeke? They can't take it out. When I learn, the evidence will be very clear. Any person where they don't use it, they don't always take it out. That's why Field Marshal Chris Ano, his brother, he know this game, and that's why they hide. He knows that they come for it. Because they don't use it. All the gun them where they begin, that plenty gun them. Where Cameroon be army, they begin for Field Marshal. Who said they? They can't take them back. Just like all the guns where they begin Ayeke. They take them back before they finally can kill it. When are wise. The game they on. Now the thing that I be talking make I bring this clarity for our people them. The Ambazonian people they be very firm on their independence. Communities that they prepare for independence. Soldiers that they prepare for their independence. We get only 8 days left to that big day. How you prepare for your independence? Now your day, we go for proof to the world who you be. Now your time. For waiting at the follow-on in terms of the organization, the planning, communities the way they plan, soldiers the way they plan. I be very hopeful. I actually be very excited. I be very happy with what see the forces that they do on the ground. A lot of the things away, a lot of noise, it go end for October Day. A lot of all this noise, all this will be more popular. A lot of those things will end for October Day. We go know who controls the ground, who control liberated territories. Because for attack Cameroon army, it be very easy. But after you attack them, you get the power for take over that block, for stabilize that block, for consolidate and turn that block into a liberated territory. We need to fight just for kill la Republique du Cameroon police, army and gendarmes, or take over or burn down colonial institutions. If you fight for liberation, you must create alternative systems. Now leadership that. Where to distinguish the Ambazonia Governing Council and any other movement where they just run him up for out there. Now based on strategy and structure. The general don't be very busy over the last 5 months. When I did hear a lot of noise. They say slow, a deep water runs slow. I think that's what they talk. How they talk of pidgin. The deep water runs slow. I don't know. I hope I'm correct. I beg if I'm not correct. Una forgive me or una correct me. The last 5 months, General F and Dey, the conquer territories and focus for implement the vision for the Ambazonian people them. And people that did for out there, they make noise. The special forces they did it for expand liberated territories and start to put in place alternative institutions them for Ambazonian people them. And people go shit on for out here, they make just empty, loud noise. Where is ADF fighting? When I will take la Republique du Cameroon, their talk, when I start talking. Because when I want to make everything they can't show on for outside. When I want, when AGOFC build community school, they take videos, they can't put them for outside because for una, the liberation is a movie. For we, the liberation not been a movie. The liberation is a strategy for give our people the way they want them. So we no go put our forces at risk and reveal certain things then. We no go put our picking them at risk. We no go put the clinics them where they build them at risk. For can please your social media, for can please your social media anxiety. People that they move around like nomads. But they not fit show a place just because they go carry out small action. They go carry out small action. It will not liberate you if you not fit take over territory and build power for defend that territory. What it be your bargaining chips for negotiation? Say you kill a Republique du Cameroon army, police and gendarmes. It not give you any leverage. And the population it not fit continue for support you long term because every action you can carry on, when you come out, you go back for bush. The population pay the price. Right? But when you carry out action, you push Cameroon. And then you take over for stabilize that community, defend that community, and consolidate the power for that community. Now you don't take that community, you turn them, you give them that Ambazonianness, that sense of freedom, that sense of protection, that sense of safety. And then you make life a start for flourish. Make people they start for do business in safe communities. Now the thing that, now the strategy that. And now the thing that we AGOVC focus on. Now the thing that, now the mission that they give the ADF. The general be very busy. All the generals with the top generals, they be very busy for implement the roadmap. They not be out for please your social media anxiety. If we feel only reveal only 1/10 of what they do and for grounded, most of una go lock una mop and all those comments we when I make them for outside there, una no ever make them again. We'll be very disciplined, even with information. Sometimes you come one time so you get information, your heart goes sweet, and you think somebody put them for outside. No, you must discipline yourself, because the moment you put them, you don't put hundreds of soldiers and those communities at risk. Leadership must be disciplined. We must be disciplined. Now, liberation, it requires a strategy. Not being a comedy show and not being a movie. Offensive actions are fine for keep the war active. But offensive action without the capacity to stabilize and consolidate liberated territories, you just waste your time. October 1, they come. When I prepare, go out and proclaim your Ambazonianness. Not live and make anything stop you. Cameroon not fit stop we, and nothing fit stop we. Now the time this. Wait till we go see them for October 1. The conversation will change. Wait till the Ambazonia Defense Forces, they go reveal them. When I remember last year, the Governing Council of Ambazonia, the leader can announce Ambazonia Institute of Technology for invent weapons, for staff to make explosives on the ground. When I see what happened on the ground in terms of the use of explosives, the Ambazonia Defense Forces, their engineering team on the ground, wait till they don't build them for the Ambazonian people then. And wait till they use them for liberated territories. When I go shock. Not been a beb. Dr. Ayaba need to play for the future of Ambazonia. The leader need to sleep. We must be self-empowered. We must be self-sufficient. Certain things they do, we must start to make them for our own country. On Saturday, the Ambazonia War Council and the leadership, it can reveal to the Ambazonian people then a project, a defense project with the engineering team they don't work on for months and months and months and months, and it don't come into fruition. They don't test them for many places in the territories, and it will make every single Ambazonia be very proud. I'm going to talk this for today. We'll see you tomorrow.